By referencing the White House, he echoed themes from his past work, where he has often critiqued American leadership, institutional racism, and the illusion of progress. The fact that Trump, who has been vocal about his disdain for Black activism, was watching made the moment even more significant. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for, Kendrick's performance of Not Like Us, the song that ignited his feud with Drake and became a cultural phenomenon overnight. At first glance, not. Like Us seemed like a diss track aimed at Drake, but it was much more than that. The song's deeper message spoke to issues of cultural appropriation, authenticity, and the idea that outsiders can profit from Black culture without truly being a part of it. By choosing to perform this song at the Super Bowl, Kendrick was sending a clear message. Hip-hop is more than just entertainment. It's a culture, a movement, and a force that can't be co-opted or controlled. His delivery was electric. Every bar, every movement, every expression felt like a victory lap. This wasn't just about Drake anymore. This was about hip-hop's place in the mainstream and Kendrick's role as its most fearless voice. As expected, the reactions to Kendrick's halftime show were split down the middle. Some called it the most powerful and meaningful Super Bowl performance ever, while others dismissed it as too political or not entertaining enough. But that's the thing about Kendrick. He's not here to cater to the masses. He's here to challenge, to provoke, and to make people uncomfortable. And whether you loved it or hated it, one thing is undeniable. This performance wasn't just about music, it was about history, culture, and a moment that will be remembered. For years to come, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was more than a spectacle. It was a statement. In a time when the NFL has tried to clean up its image regarding racial issues, Kendrick forced them to confront the reality of Black struggle, Black excellence, and Black resistance. And in doing so, he didn't just perform, he made history. What? Are your thoughts on Kendrick's Super Bowl performance? Was it a powerful statement, or just another halftime show? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep. 2015, All Right has become an anthem of resistance. It was chanted at Black Lives Matter protests, used as a rallying cry against police brutality, and even criticized by right-wing media for being too radical. But Kendrick knew exactly what he was doing by performing it on the NFL's biggest stage. Remember, just a few years ago, the league was at the center of controversy over Colin Kaepernick's protests against police violence. By bringing All Right to the Super Bowl, Kendrick was essentially forcing the NFL to embrace the very message they once tried to distance themselves from. It was a full circle moment, a reminder that, despite efforts to silence the movement, the message was still alive and thriving. One of the most visually striking moments came when the stage transformed into a massive chessboard with Kendrick and his dancers strategically moving like pieces in a high-stakes game. Every step, every formation, and every calculated movement told a deeper story, one about power, resistance, and the struggle for autonomy in an industry that often seeks to control its most influential voices. The symbolism here was clear. This wasn't just a performance, it was a battle. In hip-hop, in culture, and in society at large, Kendrick was making a statement about power and control. The chessboard reflected the larger theme of his set. Black artists, like chess pieces, are often moved and manipulated by larger forces. Record, labels, corporate interests, and the mainstream media, all of which have historically dictated who gets to succeed and on what terms. Yet some, like Kendrick, refuse to be pawns. Instead of being positioned by unseen hands, he was the one making the moves, dictating the pace of the game, and redefining the rules in real time. This isn't the first time Kendrick has used chess as a metaphor. His album, To Pimp a Butterfly, explored the systemic obstacles placed in front of Black artists, and how navigating the industry can feel like playing a game rigged against them. The idea that success often comes at a price, compromising one's art, message, or identity, is a reality many artists have faced. But Kendrick has always positioned himself as a player who understands the game, yet refuses to be played. His dancers, dressed in uniform black suits, moved with precision, reinforcing the theme of strategy and discipline. Some appeared as pawns, others as knights or rooks, symbolizing different roles within the industry. The choreography wasn't just about aesthetics, it was a visual representation of how power dynamics operate, how certain figures are sacrificed for the sake of the bigger picture, and how those who rise must be conscious of the forces at play. And then there was Kendrick himself, the king on the board. Unlike the traditional chess king, which is often protected and stationary, he was dynamic, unafraid to take risks, moving with confidence across the stage. It was a statement that, despite the industry's attempts to dictate the trajectory of Black artists, Kendrick had seized control of his own narrative. In this game, he wasn't just playing to survive, he was playing to win. Perhaps the most controversial moment of the night was when Kendrick subtly incorporated White House imagery into his set, an unmistakable nod to his ongoing critique of American politics. With Donald Trump sitting in the audience, Kendrick knew the weight of his performance. This wasn't just any Super Bowl. This was a moment in history where racial and political tensions were at an all-time high. And in true Kendrick fashion, delves deeper into the American dream. According to halftime show art director Shelley Rogers, these symbols represented Kendrick's journey as a Black man navigating a system that often feels like a rigged game. Some critics expanded on this, suggesting the PlayStation reference symbolized how Black culture is consumed as entertainment, but is still controlled, commodified, and manipulated. Gaming is about control, who holds the controller, who sets the rules, and who gets to play. Kendrick's use of this imagery highlighted how Black artists shape culture, yet rarely own the platforms that profit from their work. One of the most striking elements of the performance was the presence of a Black Uncle Sam, played by Samuel L. Jackson, an inspired casting choice. This character took the rigged game concept further, highlighting the struggles of Black people within the American system. Uncle Sam historically has demanded everything from Black Americans: labor, culture, talent, votes, while offering little in return. But in this performance, Kendrick flipped the power dynamic. Jackson's portrayal of Uncle Sam carried strong echoes of previous characters he has played, such as Steven in Django Unchained, or even Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks, reinforcing the themes of systemic control and racial identity. Instead of making a grand entrance from above or emerging from beneath the stage like many past halftime performers, Kendrick arrived in a Buick GNX, a deliberate and deeply personal choice. This wasn't just any car. It was the 1987 Buick GNX, a vehicle deeply tied to Black culture, especially in the 80s and 90s. Kendrick has a strong personal connection to this car. His father drove him home from the hospital as a newborn in the Buick Regal, the parent model of the GNX. He was also born in 1987, the same year Buick released the car. Beyond the personal ties, the GNX represents authenticity, a symbol of West Coast hip-hop culture and the working-class Black experience. This was Kendrick's way of grounding his performance in his roots, reminding the world where he came from. At one point, Kendrick dropped a powerful line: "The revolution will be televised. You got the right time, but the wrong guy." This was a direct flip of Gil Scott-Heron's iconic phrase, emphasizing that this time, Black resistance was on full display, with America forced to watch. Given that Trump himself was present, the statement carried even greater weight, underscoring Kendrick's disapproval of his policies and administration. By declaring himself the wrong guy, Kendrick acknowledged that he wasn't the typical mainstream-friendly Super Bowl act. He also played into the criticism he received for performing at the event. But in a time of heightened racial tensions, when America feels more divided than ever, he was exactly the right person to take that stage. Whether people were ready for it or not, following this moment, Kendrick launched into Squabble Up, a track that can be interpreted as a declaration that he's ready to fight, both metaphorically and musically. His performance took on the tone of a boxer stepping into the ring, signaling that he wasn't backing down. As he performed, dancers spread across the stage, each group wearing red, blue, or white. This imagery carried layered meanings. On one level, it symbolized the American flag and the deep divisions within the country. On another level, the colors could reference the ongoing tensions between gangs like the Bloods and the Crips, an issue deeply rooted in the realities of Black life in America. The performance was more than just entertainment. It was a bold, artistic statement about identity, struggle, and the complexities of navigating a divided society. As the energy in the stadium reached its peak, Kendrick transitioned into All Right, one of the most politically charged songs in his discography. This wasn't just a performance, it was a declaration of resilience, survival. The performance was more than just a musical act. It was a statement. In a time when America is at the brink of a cultural divide, where Black art and activism are under constant scrutiny, Kendrick took center stage and delivered the most unapologetically Black, politically charged, hip-hop-infused halftime show in history. His journey to this moment was anything but smooth, from tensions with Lil Wayne to his long-standing feud with Drake and the looming legal controversies over Not Like Us. All eyes were on Kendrick as he took the stage. And to add another layer of significance, he performed right in front of former President Donald Trump, filling the show with deep symbolism that resonated with America's racial and social tensions. While some critics labeled this the worst halftime show ever, the reality is that Kendrick didn't just perform hits, he made a statement. Many missed the deeper meaning behind the performance. So today, we're breaking down every moment, every message, and why this show was not just historic, but necessary. Before the performance even began, the entire stadium was illuminated in red, a striking visual choice that ties directly to Kendrick's rivalry with Drake. The big red button is a well-known symbol of power, destruction, and initiating something major, like launching a missile. Drake had previously used this imagery in his posts, hinting that he had something devastating to reveal about Kendrick. But by bathing the stadium in red, Kendrick flipped the meaning, declaring that he was the red button, fully in control of the situation. He dictated the terms of their rivalry, demonstrating his dominance not just in music, but in cultural impact. As the show began, the stage lit up with symbols resembling PlayStation controller buttons: square, triangle, cross, and circle. Several interpretations exist regarding this visual choice. One theory connects it to Drake's track First Person Shooter, where he boasts about being as big as the Super Bowl. Kendrick, in turn, used the Super Bowl stage, the very platform Drake bragged about, to shut down their feud in the most public way possible.